has been constituted by the central government has had all Congress CMs and most chief ministers asking for the extension of lockdown in writing. Now, they have decided to put it on record. Now, the Congress chief ministers have asked their contribution of GST as well. The agriculture-intensive states have suggested opening up of farming sector for harvesting and easy movement of agro goods. Now, the Congress party wants to raise the PM Cares Fund issue, which was earlier raised by Sonia Gandhi in her letter to the Prime Minister. Pallavi is with us on the broadcast. Pallavi, give us more perspective. Is there any sort of trust deficit between the centre and the state that we are witnessing right now with these developments?
Oh yes, absolutely, Anusha. Complete breakdown of trust between the opposition parties and including the Congress party and of course the BJP. So I really don't know how much the outreach by the Prime Minister with the opposition parties will really be genuine and whether it's going to work or it's just going to be a kind of a formality. For me, it looks a lot of formality because a couple of things which has led to a breakdown of trust. And the first big decision of the government to go ahead and suspend MP lads for 2 years has not gone down well with the opposition parties. They see this as an infringement on the right of the MPs who they think are the best to decide what the constituency wants. So they think that this is one way of the government arm twisting the opposition MPs. That's one. Second, yesterday's decision also where there's going to be a curtailment of the allowances for staff of the MPs. That also hasn't gone down well. We already have, for example, a Manish Tiwari speaking out openly against it, calling this an authoritarian or arbitrary decisions of the government. But yes, on the platter is going to be, among many other things, the extension of the lockdown, how it should be done. No state government, whether it's in the opposition spectrum or the BJP, really wants to take the risk, Anusha, which is why they've given it in writing that at least there should be an extension of lockdown in the very, very dangerous areas. That's one problem. Second, how will the funding come in from? States like Punjab have openly written to the Prime Minister, we want our share of the GST as soon as possible. More funds should be given to us. The PM Care Fund should also be given to them. And lastly, of course, the PM Care Fund itself has led to a lot of questioning by the opposition, and which was made a point by Sonia Gandhi, saying that you have to trust the people of India and therefore you have to merge this PM Cares Fund into the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund so that there's more transparency.
All right, Pal is also joining us on the broadcast, getting us more perspective on that story. Pal, as Pallavi talks about the complete breakdown of trust between the centre and the states, we're also going into the harvesting season. The pending payment of the GST is something that the states are going to insist upon. What are you hearing from the other opposition parties?
So the other opposition parties are not only going to ask for the GST already speaking about, they will also be asking for money to be released for the states, for example, to procure medical equipment. They're going to ask for money for Manrega, etc. to be paid out. So they're saying essentially this is a very, very tough period, especially for states. And if they're supposed to make both ends meet, how do they do that? They can't have wealth on their own, to really distribute amongst people. There is a crisis which is building up, and that's one of the reasons. This is going to be extremely important. Also, apart from the MP lad fund, the other opposition parties are also going to be raising crucial issues like what about the migrant laborers? What's going to happen to them in the case of the extension of the lockdown? What really was done? What was the steps that was taken by the centre back then as well? How good is going to be the food chain supply, over the next 2 weeks or something if the lockdown really extends by then? So all of these issues are going to be raised and in particular certain states, for example, BJD and Odisha, the Telangana chief minister has already said and the Andhra chief minister have said that they are completely in favor of the extension of the lockdown, but it should not be a staggered lockdown. It should be a complete lockdown which should be declared, because otherwise the entire purpose is defeated. That is not going to reap any benefits as well. It'll be important to see how this really pans out, because not everybody is going to be allowed to speak. Government sources indicate that any party which has 20 MPs or more will be given a chance to speak in this particular meeting with the Prime Minister.
Pallavi, taking that point further with you, the pending payments of the state governments, whether it's the GST, Manrega, the special aid which is going to multiple other states. Prime Minister also extended, the central government also extended some aid to the states in battling COVID-19. How these funds are allocated in the coming time, politically speaking, is also going to be very contentious.
And many of these state governments who are ruled by the opposition parties, they make these allegations frequently that the centre is having a complete control over the allocation of funds. And why are they raising an objection over MP lads, for example? They're pointing out that this is one way of trying to have a control over the members of parliament, especially those who are in the opposition. Because if you are from the BJP, and I'm giving the argument of the opposition MPs, is that if you're in the BJP, you don't really have to worry about, because your party is going to bail you out, because you're in power and your government is going to be obviously backing you. So there is a trust deficit, and most of the state governments are bleeding. I mean, it's a fact. I mean, the economy it has been in a distress for some time, but in this situation, this is something which is beyond anyone's control. I mean, it's not correct also to blame the centre, but one can also understand the plight of the states. The agro-based states like Punjab, Haryana, are particularly worried, because this is the harvesting season we are heading into. Will they be opening up? I mean, it's all very well to talk about essential goods are going to be provided for, but Anusha, like you and me, many of us do see that online deliveries are not happening easily. And even the shopkeepers have started complaining that stocks are dying out, and how are we going to replenish it if there's not easy and free movement of transport, interstate transport? Will the state governments want to take that risk? Is there going to be some kind of a reassurance given by the centre? But more importantly, I think today many of these people are going to raise the point, we require more funds from the centre. The PM Care Fund is something which should also be made accessible to the state governments, so that we can go down to the lowest level of the kind of economic pyramid, so to say.
All right, Pallavi, thank you so much for getting us all the important details. Pal, please stay on with us, because lots is expected today, and especially when we talk about the group of ministers meeting, which was chaired by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Tuesday. It has recommended that the lockdown should be extended till the 15th of May. And this is specifically for educational institutions, public religious activities. The recommendation comes irrespective of whether the government extends the 21-day lockdown or not. Now, the GOM further says that the inputs of the states are crucial in specific decisions on measures to contain COVID-19 pandemic in the country. Pal continues to be with us on the broadcast. And Pal, talking about the extension of the lockdown, that is a question on everybody's mind, what is going to go forward. Take us through how many states have officially said that they want to extend the lockdown going further. What are the indications you're picking up from the others?
Yes, as far as the lockdown is concerned, many states have come out and said that they are in favor of lockdown, and some of them have even said that without complete lockdown, you don't have any other alternative. For example, one of the first few chief ministers to come out and articulate that in as many words is K. Chandrasekhar Rao of the Telangana government. He essentially been saying, and since you don't have any other vaccine available, what is the option that you have to protect people? The only option is to keep them indoors. The same sentiments have now been echoed by the Andhra chief minister as well. Several chief ministers, whether it is Rajasthan or whether it is, Madhya Pradesh, all of these chief ministers have come out and really said there's no other option. I'm told that even the Tamil Nadu chief minister has also demanded the same, because they feel that, on one front, if all the good work will be undone, if people are actually allowed to come out on streets and, have business as usual, even if there is a partial breakdown, partial unlocking of the lockdown, then who's going to take control? What happens if people congregate at places as well? So all of these factors have to be taken into account. Obviously, the group of ministers is getting inputs from not only their respective departments, because you have about 15 ministers who have various departments that they work for, and they are also in touch with states. Remember, because Modi had allocated a state each to most of these ministers. They are coordinating with the states day in and day out. So essentially, they're getting inputs and reports on ground. So what really happens in that case as well? That is something which has to be looked into. As far as educational institutions are concerned, remember, children and small children are actually very vulnerable to infections, etc. So it's the best thing to do at this point in time is to ensure that they're kept away from any kind of infection catching scenario. That's one of the reasons that they've advocated that educational institutions should be shut till the best possible date.
Yeah.
But can everything be shut? No. Can everything be put into the deep freezer? No.
Yeah.
The answer certainly is, Anusha, that you have to allow small businesses, small traders to replenish their stocks. How are they going to otherwise work? What happens to daily laborers? What happens to daily wage earners? So all of these have to be taken into account. But the larger recommendation, coming in from the group of ministers, is that it is best, in the best case scenario, the best thing will be to extend the lockdown till 15th of May. But the final call definitely will be taken by the Prime Minister. But whether or not the government decides at this point in time, Anusha, to go with a complete lockdown or to go with a staggered lockdown, that's entirely the Prime Minister's call.
All right, that's entirely the Prime Minister's call. Let's see. Of course, the state governments and their inputs are going to be very crucial.